Thanks for joining us again for the Clive Barker Podcast, the only podcast dedicated to the imagination of Clive Barker. In this, episode 184, Jose and I'm Ryan, we catch up on the news. We talk Nightbreed TV series on Syfy, new books from the Clive Barker Archive, and we even have a short interview with Joe Manco of Little Spark Films talking about the upcoming short film The Torturer, starring Paul T. Taylor, otherwise known as Pinhead from Hellraiser Judgment, and written by Paul Kane, a friend of the show who is somewhat of a Hellraiser expert. Also, we've got a bit of a format change coming up, and we talk about that as well. This episode is sponsored by Don Bertram's Celebrate Imagination. Don Bertram's Celebrate Imagination shop is dedicated to benefiting the Arts and Medicine program at Texas Children's Cancer Center. Up to 50% of the proceeds will support the program, where artist Don Bertram volunteers monthly. Please join us in donating to the program at Texas Children's Cancer Center. There's a link in the show notes on the main website at clivebarkercast.com that will take you where you need to go to get one of his prints or art books and help out this wonderful program. Yeah, so this is episode 184 of the Clive Barker Podcast, and so we can go right into the news. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Jose.
So Rob couldn't join us today. He wrote the bulk of these news posts, but we'll make our way through them. So Pete Atkins is getting a re-release of his novel Morning Star, and I have to admit I haven't read that. I've been wanting to get into his novels. I've only read like some short stories of his.
Oh, I've read it. I read it years ago. It's really good. It's also called Morning Star or The Vampires of Summer. And it takes place in the summer of 1988 in San Francisco. So here's the synopsis. It's a killer is on the loose. 12 victims so far. Men, women, children, all ritually disfigured. Scrawled in each victim's blood a single word, Morning Star. The citizenry is terrified. The police are powerless, and two innocent people suddenly find their lives swept up in a maelstrom of madness and murder. So yeah, it's a very cool story. I haven't read it in a long time, but it's definitely something I would recommend. So you can get a preview, or you can read a preview of the book over at Shadow Ridge Press website. It's the website that is re-releasing the book. So, yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'll have to go check that out. I've been interested in getting into his novel. He's written a few, right? He has not just the one.
Oh, yeah, he's written a lot of stuff. Okay. Big Thunder, and then he's written a lot of, short story anthologies. Yeah. So he's written a lot of stuff.
Cool.
And he's now on Twitter as well.
And Doug Bradley, Valentina Vargas, Tony Todd are going to be at Scares That Care weekend in Williamsburg, Virginia on August 3rd through August 5th. So anybody that wants to see those Clive Barker related actors,
mm-hmm.
And Scares That Care is a charity, and from what I remember, I think it was like breast cancer and burn victims.
Okay, I know that they auctioned a leather jacket once in a convention that you went to, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was a Nightbreed jacket, I think.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. So yeah, there's a chance for you to support this great cause, Scares That Care, at the Scares That Care weekend in Williamsburg, Virginia.
Yeah, that would be cool to go to.
Yeah, it takes place in August 3rd to the 5th, right?
Yeah, and in a way, this next one is our biggest news, but at the same time, it's so hard to. Maybe I'll just stop teasing it. So there's a Nightbreed TV series has been announced that it's going to be on the Syfy channel.
Yeah, we were kind of bearing the lead on this one. Right, so it says Nightbreed TV series reboot from Clive Barker and Morgan Creek in works at Syfy. This was broken by Deadline Hollywood,
mm-hmm.
and Okay, so we kind of knew that this was on the works for a long time, and a few months ago, I was told that there may be like something about Syfy getting the rights for Nightbreed, but I just kind of chalked it up to, hey, I've listened to so many things at this point.
Right.
That this idea was being shopped around first by Michael Plummedes, who was executive producer of the Nightbreed Director's Cut, and he's been shopping this around for so many people. And so I just thought, hey, whatever happens, then we'll talk about it, because at that point I was just so tired of hearing I'm talking to these people, I'm talking to those people, oh, they might be interested, oh, we're going to talk to them again. And it's like, so last I heard was like Syfy got Nightbreed, and I'm like, great, let's see what they do with it.
And we've seen different versions of scripts for this TV series going all the way back to like 2012 when we were, doing deep into Occupy Midian stuff.
Yeah, and before that, even like Matt Venn and Clive Barker had this treatment for a Nightbreed TV show, and maybe we'll talk about that one day.
Yeah, well, and I think this is based off of that, isn't it? Or they use that as kind of a launching pad for...
I don't know. I don't think so. Okay. Because the original one had this villain called the Vice, and he actually kills people with little vices that he puts around their bodies, and he tightens them and he breaks their bones and stuff. So I don't know if that would have been a good idea. But so this one is going to be written by Josh Stolberg, who worked in such movies as Jigsaw and Piranha. So yeah, he's also been attached to the Weave World project, hasn't he, Ryan?
Yeah, and the Weave World project also had a great big news thing, like similar to this, right? It was going to be on, was it the WB?
I think so.
Yeah, and then what happened to it? Where did it go? I mean, we haven't heard
no money, I guess,
about that in like a year or more.
Yeah, no money for that, I guess. But okay, so just to curb people's enthusiasm, this is actually,
sorry everybody, but
this is actually going to be a pilot. They're going to make a pilot for it. Don't think that Syfy is just all of a sudden going to make an entire first season of Nightbreed. So I think they're working on a pilot at this point. And it says here on the article, they're going to explore race relations in America, only that the races are humans and monsters. So, okay, they're going to go for that angle. That's fine with me.
Yeah.
It follows a group of underground half-human, half-monsters seeking to find a new refuge and home after their original hiding place is destroyed. Okay, I'm not going to read the whole article, but...
also, it's a little bit of an oversimplification to call them half-human, half-monsters.
Right. So one of the original ideas for this involved Boone and Laurie, still part of the story, but kind of separated, and then they had a kid. And so I don't know how far into this they're going to reuse that idea. It just says here that leading the efforts is a recently turned reluctant hero who's not only adjusting to his new supernatural status, but also dealing with grief and mystery surrounding the death of his fiancée, which is it kind of diverges here, because I don't remember in the original ideas and treatments for this previous, stuff that was worked on for this show. I don't remember this young hero having a fiance that got killed. If anything, it was going to be Boone and Laurie's son, and then he would find Laurie being murdered by a villain or whatever. So I think that I'm going to risk and say that they threw all that stuff away from the previous things, like Michael Plummedes' ideas and Matt Venn and Clive Barker's treatment.
It's not because it's not a continuation of any version of Nightbreed. It's like a reimagining.
So sure, we'll find out more about that as this progresses. But so it says it's executive produced by James G. Robinson, David Robinson, and Barbara Wall, for Morgan Creek and Clive Barker and Mark Miller via Seraphim Films. And so Mark Miller, I think at this point it's very marginal involvement in this, because Mark Miller no longer is working with Seraphim Films. And Clive Barker, I'm sure he'll just throw some ideas into the mix and then let Josh Stolberg kind of develop those. For people who think that Clive Barker might be very, very hands-on on this, I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think at this point he's just going to throw some ideas, and then Josh Stolberg is probably going to, ride on those and make his own thing. So not terribly surprising that they're doing this, because at one point, you remember when we were talking about Morgan Creek was trying to develop their properties. They were trying to come up with TV shows on Dead Ringers and Young Guns and Nightbreed.
Right.
And so Barbara Wall has been one of the people who's been trying to get those things done. So it looks like
have any of those other things come to pass? I don't know.
Not that I've heard. Yeah, not that I've heard. No. So Clive Barker made actually a little announcement. He said, "This story has been near to my heart for many years. I'm beyond thrilled that Syfy and UCP are taking this journey with us, and I cannot wait to see it brought to life on the screen." So yeah, we will find out more about these sci-fi pilots for 2018. There's an article here that leads into the pilots that they're making, but you know, they're going to make one for The Purge. They're going to make one called Resident Alien, Tremors. Because I don't know if we talked about this before, probably not, but there was a teaser trailer for like a Tremors TV show Return that had Kevin Bacon in it. So anyway,
well, and it's interesting. I mean, we posted this, of course, on our blog and then shared it out onto Facebook. And you know, one comment that seems to go on the top of every time we post it is like, "Oh, Laurie gets killed right in the beginning. I'm out."
Yeah, but it doesn't say that here, right? It doesn't say anything about that in this article.
Well, but if this young guy is Boone, and that's his fiance, I guess that would be Laurie, right?
Okay, yeah, but that's kind of a big jump to take. I guess, you know, now that you mention it, I'm wondering if they're going to be called Boone and Laurie, or if it's just going to be someone new.
I think it's a reboot, and they're young, you know.
Okay, but so they kind of spun it around then, because in the original Cabal, of course, it's Laurie that deals with the death of her fiance Boone. But here it says that it's this young, reluctant hero that deals with the death surrounding the mystery. The mystery surrounding the death of his fiancée. So it makes it seem like it may be his girlfriend that dies, and I just don't know what's going on. We need to know more about this, because it seems like this is going to be totally a new thing. It doesn't have anything to do with all the stuff that we mentioned before about previous projects that were trying to be developed. Even though I want to say, I you know, as kind of one of the founders of Occupy Midian, along with you and Roger and all these people, I think we should kind of own this a little bit and say that, hey, without Occupy Midian, this probably wouldn't be happening today. And I want to criticize a little bit something that David Robinson says here. It says, "There has never been a more relevant time for us to turn to one of the genre's great cult classics from our movie library to impact the national conversation with bold, compelling, and unconventional storytelling." This is from David Robinson, president of the Morgan Creek Entertainment Group, which is what they call themselves now, because they changed their name like a while ago. Says, "The team at Morgan Creek is very excited to partner with Clive Barker, Syfy, and Universal Cable Productions, UCP, on Nightbreed for a unique, trenchant, and no-holds-barred exploration of race relations in today's society. As a sophisticated twist on the classic graphic novel form, Nightbreed pits humans against persecuted monsters, using metaphor and parable to take on bias and prejudice with real-world consequences." That's kind of like it's a little bit of an "oh brother" moment here, because okay,
you can't really say there's never been a more relevant time, because I think like 2014 was the perfect time, you know.
I know, right? Yeah, but okay, so they're going with the race relations hook, which I guess you can use that, even though, you know, sure, the tribes of the moon, they were different tribes of different races, I guess, like if you consider a werewolf to be a race, I guess.
Right.
But we'll see what happens with this. I'm not sure about the hook, though.
Yeah, I am excited about it, and I want it to succeed, of course. I mean, we all want it to be good. It's just like, you know, I'm not excited about the writer. You know, there's not really, you know, I don't care for Saw movies, and I didn't like those Piranha movies, the current ones.
Yeah. Tell me about it. So, hey, I really hope this goes forward. It's going to be a pilot, and yeah. So Josh Stolberg, you mentioned the WB. It was the CW that Josh Stolberg was developing Weave World for. That didn't come through. I think that at this moment that you have UCP and you have Morgan Creek and you have Syfy, they got money. Okay, so the money is probably there to make it. So I'm sure they'll make at least a pilot, and I just hope that the pilot is something people can watch, and it's not going to be something that's just going to be like shopped around internally to executives and suits and just be like, oh, I don't know, I don't think this will make it. The demographics is wrong. So I really hope that they actually play this on the Syfy channel and let people like talk online and do some word of mouth and say, listen to the people, because there's a lot of fans out there who like Nightbreed, and I think that depending on how this turns out, it all depends on the execution, right?
And this may be a thing for Occupy Midian to get involved and put the word out if we're sort of in a limbo between like the pilot's been made and they're trying to figure out if they should go forward with the series.
Agreed.
Yeah, we want it to succeed, so we'll see how that shakes out, I guess.
Yeah, part of my cynicism about this, or part of my reluctance to be too excited, is just the fact that even though Occupy Midian had a big role in the director's cut and the Cabal cut Blu-ray and all that stuff, it always seems like they haven't really connected with the fans there. Nobody that's been very important about this has actually connected deeply with Occupy Midian. And I don't mean to point fingers, but even people who were administrators there, they never really manifested a lot of press releases or anything on it. People, it just seems like there was never a lot of interest in the part of Morgan Creek to tap into that. I mean, at one point we did have the guy from the marketing department from Morgan Creek be a part of Occupy Midian, and nothing really happened. He was just there. I don't think he ever released anything. I think they created a official Facebook page for Nightbreed, and then they gave it to that Alex guy who used to be the Clive Barker social media manager, quote unquote.
Yep, and he made official Candyman, official Hellraiser, official Nightbreed, official Lord,
official Lament configuration and stuff like that. And it's like those pages are all dead now. They haven't had posts in like years and years, except for the official Hellraiser, who has people there like Barbie Wilde and Nicholas Vince, and but it's still not under like Clive Barker control or anything like that. No. So I'm not even like, I don't even like that page anymore. We were put as moderators once for that page, and then we got taken out of it because Alex was like, you guys aren't doing anything, blah blah blah, whatever. We're not getting into that thing now, but I wish that Morgan Creek and Syfy or whoever is in control of this could reach out to the fan community there at Occupy Midian and be like, hey guys, what would you guys like to see? Here are some press releases. Would you guys like to like break some news on this? And or just even share stuff with us, share news with us. It's kind of disheartening to find out about this from someone else. And be like, hey, Deadline Hollywood posted this here. Have you guys read this article? I'm like, no, I had no idea. And we used to have contacts over at Seraphim Films, and right now Seraphim Films is really in a kind of a transition. So we don't know what's going to come of that, Clive Barker's company there. We don't really know anybody that's representing Clive right now, except maybe from the Texas Frightmare Weekend. We actually saw someone there like Chris Rowe, who was there representing Clive Barker. But when we approached them and mentioned that, hey, we're the Clive Barker podcast, we've been in touch with Seraphim,
it's kind of like, okay,
it's like, all right, so what? It's like, okay,
exactly,
here's my card, thanks. And you just know that card's gonna end up in a trash bin.
It's really disheartening because Clive didn't do that, but this person that we don't know very well, was
Right.
like that with us, and Clive wasn't feeling well enough to really have a conversation with. And in fact, we weren't even supposed to have a conversation with him.
Right. And and so anyway, so let's see what happens. I wish that someone would get in touch with the community over at Nightbreed, because there's a lot of fans there.
Yeah.
Everybody's so talented and so passionate about this movie. And I really wish that we could harness this power and just, we'll do the best we can. I mean, as soon as we have an idea of when this thing is being done or it comes out or whatever, I'll be sure to push people to watch it and then come up with their own, come up with their own conclusions about it, whether they like it or not. And I guess we'll see.
Yeah. I hate the term cautiously optimistic, because it really doesn't mean anything, right? Because it's a contradiction in terms.
Mm-hmm.
But I sort of feel like that with this.
Yeah. It has to do with a little bit with the writer, a little bit with the way that this is being approached. It seems like it's just Morgan Creek trying to be like, okay, we got our IPs. Let's just see what we can do with them. Let's shop them around and see. Yeah. And I just don't want things to change that much. It's not that I hate change, okay? I'm all for it, but it's like, okay, Cabal isn't going anywhere. The movie isn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
I would like to see the creative spark not be watered down too much and not be changed too much.
Yeah.
Just because I think it's a great story. And if you change it too much, then it just becomes someone else's version of it. And it starts becoming several degrees removed from what makes people love the story in the first place.
I'd like to see it done like Evil Dead 2, where there's like a little sort of retcon synopsis of what happened in the first part. And then they move on and tell, now here's the story continuing on after the events of Nightbreed. Yeah,
sure.
I think that's what I would like. I don't want to see it start all over and be different. I mean, I'll keep an open mind to that, and I'll watch it and I'll see if I like what they're doing. But a part of me is still a little disappointed that I want to see where these characters are now, and what's I want to see. I want to continue the story.
I guess it depends also if the original actors want to come back or not. I'm sure lots of them would want to, but I understand.
Even if they don't, you can get other people to play those characters.
Sure. Yeah, you can recast them. That's always a possibility. But I understand why they're doing this, starting the story from the beginning, because they want people to have a beginning to the story and understand where these things are coming from.
Right.
They don't want to draw people into like a sequel and they'd be like, oh, I don't know what happened before, so I guess I'm not going to follow this TV show.
If they did it like Evil Dead 2, you don't need to see the first Evil Dead to watch that movie. I mean, it's all contained within the Evil Dead 2.
Right, but this is TV. I guess people have a shorter attention span, and it's just a movie. It's not a TV show, and TV show requires a bit more commitment to it. So I guess they want people to be assured that, okay, we're going to start a story here, and it's not going to be just like picking up where another movie from 28 years ago left off.
But if they start from the beginning, it's how do you make it interesting? When you've got an hour,
the actual original movie, right?
Yeah, you've got an hour to set up the to do the pilot to get everybody interested, and how much time does it take to set up the setting?
Hopefully,
and the characters,
hopefully they'll.
Action
I don't know. I don't think they're going to go with a Cabal story. They might just use elements of it and then just try to take the story on its own and try to move it quickly into a certain direction, and just try to go with it.
Right.
But I don't know how this race relation hook is going to work out. It's like
a young app developer
they're monsters.
And a pastry chef.
Yeah, that was one of the ideas for Weave World, right?
Mm-hmm. I know.
That wasn't written by Josh Stolberg.
That was a punch in the stomach to read that. I know, yeah, and we this one is vaguer, right? The plot synopsis for this is way vaguer than what we, which is probably a good thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
They don't want to open up their game too much, but I don't know. It's going to be weird. Is Midian going to be a part of it? Is it going to be like? Is it going to be a world where these monsters already exist and they're considered a different race? I don't want it to be like Bright, where orcs have been a thing and fairies and.
Oh yeah.
stuff like
Right,
that. I guess
right.
it's not going to be like that though.
I only read about that. I only saw previews for that, but I never actually watched it. I guess it didn't do well, right?
I think that it's just weird because once you start making a TV show where people have to deal with Nightbreed on a daily basis as part of like, the mundane stuff, I don't know if it works very well because Nightbreed or Cabal is kind of like a fable, right? It's kind of like a fable story, and it's like going on the other side of the mirror, and then you're in Midian, okay? And these creatures are kind of standing still in time. When you start thinking too much about it, it's like, oh, well, does Midian have indoor plumbing? Where do those people eat? Do they eat? Do they sleep?
Right, we just know they really want to eat humans, but they can't. It's like, okay, well then what do they eat then?
Right. So it's something you don't really want to think too much about, and I don't think that Nightbreed would work too much on like a suburban environment, with people talking about, I want to go to the prom, but my girlfriend is like not, is a Nightbreed, and it's like, I'm not saying that's what they're going to do. Okay, I'm just saying race relation hook. It's going to be weird. So the world will know that the Nightbreed exists.
Even
you can argue that at the end of Nightbreed, that's also a thing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, in Nightbreed, it was all bigotry was a big part of the movie Nightbreed too, without necessarily meaning they're all just living amongst us in the world and everybody knows about them.
Right.
I don't know. We'll see. I hope it's good. Fingers crossed.
Well, yeah. Well, and good news that make me happy. New play scripts are now available from the Clive Barker Archive. So we kind of raved a lot about the previous two play scripts that were released. So it was History of the Devil and
Hunters, right, History of the Devil, and oh gosh, we talked about it on the podcast.
I was just saying we raved so much about him, and all of a sudden I can't. It's okay, guys. It's 6 a.m. for me when I woke up today, and we're recording this early. But
it's the Magician.
The Magician, yes, with the Count Cagliostro and Harlequin and all that stuff. So thank you, Ryan. And now it's Crazy Face and Hunters in the Snow.
Yeah. So once again, and we talked about this before, but once again, there's one play previously released, one play that's new that's never been released before. So I'm excited. I want to get both of them. I want to get this whole set, when they're done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hunters in the Snow, for those who don't know anything about it, is set in a medieval Bruegel-like inspired landscape and features a character called the Dutchman. And I think that Doug Bradley has mentioned before that the Dutchman was kind of like a proto-Pinhead for the Hydra Theater Company in 1973. So he's a dark, undead witch finder summoned by mysterious means, with traits that would later feed into Clive's Mamoulian and Pinhead characters. Staged in the illustrious Everyman Theater in Liverpool for just 2 nights in 1973, this text is a must-read for anyone interested in reading an early iteration of themes that would continue to infuse Clive's writing for many years. The play was originally performed by the Hydra Theater Company in 1973. First publication of the full script includes 3 photos of the original production, poster art, and manuscript pages from the Clive Barker Archive. And of course, Crazy Face, you might have remembered him from the previous Incarnations and Forms of Heaven play script books. And it's Till Eulenspiegel, and he becomes embroiled in a frantic Europe-wide scramble for control of a secret for which nations will go to war. Yeah. And so they're both going to be edited with an additional afterword by Phil and Sarah Stokes of the Clive Barker Archive. So thanks, Phil and Sarah.
Yeah, so while Seraphim and the real Clive Barker website, may be undergoing some transition and there's not much happening with those, the other side of the coin is that Phil and Sarah over at the Clive Barker Archive are going strong, really knocking it out of the park. Because in addition to those 2 plays, we've also got Imaginer 6. You can pre-order it from their site.
Right. And we just had an article written by our great friend and team member Marcus Justin Williams. He wrote that on about a few days ago. So, 200 pages, limited to 100 copies for the signed deluxe clamshell edition. And for a limited time, the signed deluxe clamshell edition with thanks, in which your name is printed in both editions of the volume. So that's amazing, I guess. Wow. I wonder how they do that.
That's cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. I'm a little behind. I'm up to 4. I don't have number 5 yet.
Yeah.
Just because.
So this volume is going to incorporate 10 gatefolds.
Wow. Yeah, and I remember. I think there was an interview with Clive, right, with Phil and Sarah, where they were talking about Imaginer 6 because they've got these things mapped out so far in advance, and he was talking, oh man, Imaginer 6, I can't wait for people to see that one because I think because of the gatefolds and how ambitious it is,
Sure, yeah. So here's how this works. The regular edition is limited to 1,000 copies at a pre-order price. The deluxe edition is signed by Clive, and that's limited to 100 numbered copies at a pre-order price. And limited time only, it's until July 22nd. You can have your name printed in all copies of Imaginer 6 as a special thank you for your support of the Imaginer Arts archiving project, selecting the deluxe edition with thanks option. So the prices are, let me just open this up. Prices are, the normal edition will be $89. The deluxe edition pre-order will be $370, and the one with thanks will be $700.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I'm going to try to get a regular edition. I hope. I got to save up some money, I think, to do that, but
yeah, it's hard. And Hunters in the Snow and Crazy Face are available in clivebarkerarchive.com/store. And Hunters in the Snow is $7, and Crazy Face will be $10 because it's a really thick one. Yeah. It's a really long theater play. So
do they have a bundle price for those two like they did previously?
I don't see the bundle price here at the store right now, but I wouldn't put it past Phil and Sarah to do that at some point.
Yeah. So exciting stuff happening at the Clive Barker Archive. So, and also remember that with Imaginer 6, with Imaginer in general, there were only 8 because on the spine they spell out the word Imaginer. So there's 8 letters in Imaginer. So there's going to be 8 volumes, and 6 is nearly finished because the pre-orders have started. So probably by sometime in next year, the whole series will be completed.
Right. Yeah, that's gonna be really, really cool once all the editions are completed and they're all in a shelf, and you can see Imaginer being spelled out by every single spine of the books.
Yeah, and up next, here's kind of a little special feature that we wanted to mention: the Torturer.
The Torturer. So you remember that we went to Texas Frightmare Weekend, and we got in touch with Little Spark Films, and they recorded that awesome interview with all the Cenobite actors and Paul Taylor. Yeah. And I don't mean that as a separate Cenobite actors and Paul Taylor. Of course, Paul Taylor now is Pinhead.
He's amongst them. Yeah.
Yeah, he's amongst them. He's been welcomed into the fold. So, The Torturer is going to be It's going to be a short film, right? Yeah. The script is written by Hell Scribe himself, Paul Kane, and it's going to feature Paul T. Taylor. So look it up. The main character is called Andy Brooks, and there's been some creepy artwork around for the movie, and there's a Facebook page for it, and they finally put out a Indiegogo crowdfunding site, which we posted on our Facebook page.
Yeah, and there's a blog post for it as well. I just updated this morning.
Right. So right now, all that is up is an official site that can be found at www.torturemovie.com. And here's Joe Manco and myself talking a little bit about this project. Hey, Joe. How you doing?
Hey. Yeah, good to see you again.
Yeah, since Texas. Yeah. So how are you doing?
It's really hot still in Texas. Nothing's changed other than, projects, but it's still hotter than hell.
Yeah, hotter than hell. That's a great segue for the thing we want to talk to you about, which is you recently posted a video on your Vimeo channel, and you made an Indiegogo for The Torturer, right? Do you want to tell us a little bit about the project?
Yes, The Torturer is written by Paul Kane, who did Sherlock Holmes and the Servants of Hell, and he did Hellraiser and Their Legacy. And he's coming out with a new book right now called More Monsters, which is a series of shorts. But we did the box is actually downstairs. We did a video for a company called configurationboxes.com for Derek Neal. Mm-hmm. And he had a red configuration box that was designed for Sherlock Holmes and Servants of Hell, and we had already been doing boxes for Max Lichter from a Pyramid Gallery.
Right.
And Kane he saw the video eventually, and he liked the titles a lot. I remember that tweet. And then he sent me a tweet talking about short films, and he sent us this one script called The Torturer, which was a short story from a book called Nail Biters.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And he told me that they were currently working on turning it into a comic book illustrated by Ian Simmons.
Oh, cool.
And so we optioned the filming rights for this script. And right before we started this Skype, I got we just finished having a production meeting with a guy named Matt Ash, who awesome. Did the special effects and messed up torture, blood and guts effects for a movie called Circus of the Dead.
Cool.
He also worked on another film called Sacrament. He's highly recommended. Probably, from what it sounds like, he's very sought after. He's like the best in town, best in Texas when it comes to horror movies. And so yeah, he's really interested in doing this. So now we just got to keep the lasso on him.
That sounds very promising. And of course, for those who don't know, Paul Kane is the shadow writer. And so, yeah, we loved all the stuff that he's written lately. And we've actually reviewed some of his books on the podcast. And so I'm looking forward to that More Monsters. I haven't really read the Nail Biters yet. So I think I'm gonna save that for after I watch The Torturer, so I don't spoil myself.
Yeah.
Oh, you read it? Oh man, dude, the script is awesome. It's brutal.
Yeah.
And I had to. I was wanting to get deeper into the story. I was afraid I wasn't understanding a lot of things properly. So I went ahead and I read the short story from Nail Biters, and it's really cool, reading the script, reading the short story, and it's the same point of view, but at the same time it feels different. And I feel like there's a lot of stuff in the book that it clearly won't translate to screen.
Right.
Without, just because it's a lot of deep thought with your main character that you follow, Andy Brooks. Mm-hmm. And in the script, you really don't get that, but you do get a lot more. So the visuals, man, like I said, I'm so happy that we had that meeting with Matthew Ash. It's going to be, man, I keep saying it's going to be brutal. And Paul Taylor, man, he's stoked. He's pumped.
Yeah, I'll bet. Yeah,
he's gonna have a hard time acting now that you've peeled his eyes out.
Oh man, no, we'll put some prosthetics in there. Something.
Okay. that was a very witty and tremendously fascinating video for the Indiegogo, which I'm going to say the URL for the Indiegogo is indiegogo.com/projects/the-torture-film-horror-drama. So that's the URL which we're going to put in the show notes for the Indiegogo fundraiser. And you got some really cool perks here. I mean, you can see a digital copy of the film for $5. You can you can receive an autographed promo card for $10. And there's already some of these are claimed already. And for $25, you can get a torture movie patch. $50 gets you a thank you in the credits. and then it goes all the way up to $5,000 for the walk-on extra. You got 2 spots ready for this, so we'll see what happens there. That would be tremendous if someone goes up to 5,000, right?
Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be pretty amazing. That would be with the $5,000 one, I think you get a producer's credit also, and that's a pretty big deal.
Oh yeah.
Well, with those kind of when people donate that much, they can they get put up closer to the camera. They'll be first and foremost. They'll have the best makeup because this script is gonna. I don't want to give anything away about the story unless some people that have read it.
Of course,
but,
yeah.
There are some. Because you have Andy Brooks who gets the shit beaten out of him. Sorry.
He's tortured, of course. He's terribly tortured, I'm going to guess, because I've seen some of the makeup effects that you were trying out on your Facebook page, and one of them involved a hand, and the hand had like pins stuck through his the nails, and it's like it's a horrible torture that I guess we've read about this sort of torture in like Central America. Dictators that would do that to people, and they just stick like little pieces of bamboo up their nails, and it's a horrifying thing. But yeah. So you got your Vimeo channel. It's vimeo.com/Little Spark Films, where you have all those like book trailers and stuff that you made, right?
Well, I guess it really. I'm pretty real, man. The box really wasn't meant to promote the book. It'd promote the book. The book is awesome. Holy crap! Sherlock Holmes and the Servants of Hell.
Yeah.
It's golfing, and you don't want to finish it. It's so good. Holy crap! It was a great book, and. I hit up Derek and I'm like, dude, this is I was excited when I realized that the red box was for that book. I just thought, when I first met Pyramid Gallery and configuration boxes, I thought, I thought I knew Hellraiser. And then I started, like this one that I started the Lost configuration.
The love configuration or the innocence configuration.
I think that Barbie Wilde helped design that one, right?
Yeah,
it was Anna Lavat.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
it was Lavat, and then then digging through the websites and learning all the mythos that they've created for all these boxes is just mind-boggling. It's insane. And then learning about Jihad, and then we have the Midian configuration. We took that downstairs during our production meeting because that's another box we're going to be doing a video for, maybe hopefully this year. And
I don't think I've heard of that one yet. I feel like I'm missing out.
Oh, the Midian configuration.
Yeah, I think was it Derek Neal designed that one?
Yeah. Well, no, it was a contest he did.
It was what?
A contest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was a contest Derek held for the Midian configuration, and I forgot who it was that won that contest, and he ended up making that design, and it's the Midian configuration. When the Nightbreed and the Cenobites go to war, I guess it's supposed to be the box that Boone creates or Cabal makes.
Right. Okay. Cool. I got to look into that because I honestly have it totally passed me by. But now that you mention it, I'm going to go right after this and try to figure out what Derek Neal has on his page in configuration boxes.
Oh, he's got a good handful of awesome stuff. I want to make videos for all the boxes, but at the same time, I know that they only tend to keep the really popular ones in production unless Steam picks up on others. And that's what we wanted to do with these companies, and that's why we did the red box, the servants configuration. And I read the book, and then I talked to Derek. I was kind of nervous to talk to Derek because I didn't know him. I knew Max, and he was all about it. He sent us a box, and I found my Sherlock Holmes. His name is Ian, also, and he did the music too for the commercial, and it was really mainly to promote the box and to help push these brands. And I couldn't really. I had to recreate the artwork for the cover. I really didn't like the type on the cover either, so I did my own little. I put my own little spark on it, and.
Your little spark.
Kane liked it, and and next thing I knew, we optioned the rights for the Torturer.
Awesome.
It was really awesome, and you got Paul T. Taylor, of course, who's like Pinhead in Judgment, and he actually hams it up a little bit in the Indiegogo video, and he talks about my sweet suffering. Of course, a line from Pinhead from the Hellraiser movies. So, wow, I'm looking forward to that. I mean, when you opened the door in your Indiegogo video, I thought that you're going to be the torturer. So I don't know if that's accurate or not, but
no, I'm not going to be the torturer.
No, you're not going to be the torturer. You're just going to be behind the camera, not in front of it.
Directing.
Got it.
Yeah.
I'm doing all the storyboards. I'm doing the directing. I got my shot lit. I mean, I'm basically my wife and I, Catalina and I, are basically the crew doing all this pre-production work and, pulling names, getting people together. And so far, every meeting we've had with people, they are ecstatic about this.
Oh, yeah.
They are full tilt boogie. They want to help promote it. They want to help, be in it. They want to, dude, it's just insane. Like, out of all the projects we've ever done, this one is just like, it's like, that song from the Muppet movie with Kermit and Fozzie. We're just moving right along.
It's going to be brutal. It's going to be brutal.
And
so, wow.
This is going to be, I think, everything we ever made tends to be funny in some way. And this is going to be the first, I mean, we never intend for it to be. It just happens. So this is going to be the first time where I think this is going to be a really stressful shoot. It's going to be, I'm going to do my hardest not to make it comical.
Okay. All right. Because you've proven that you can do both, I guess. I've seen the one you did over in Texas at the time of the Texas Frightmare Weekend, the Silly Dilly Why So Killy. That's Dildo of the Dead. I mean, you have experience with doing like 48-hour movies and stuff like that, right? Which is, you guys got to keep it going and, edit it really quickly and all that. So you have to have great skills to be able to make a movie in 48 hours, even if it's a short film.
Well, yeah, very much so. I mean, with a 48-hour film race, there's only so much prepping you can do because you don't know what you're making until you are at the meetup and you see all these other teams. Like, you get there, you're thinking, holy, it's just going to be us and maybe two other teams. You got your crew of actors and, people behind the scenes. Some people keep it short. I think our last team we did was like almost 20 people plus. And everyone was pumped about it. And we weren't going to do it until the guys running the film race said that, it's potential to be on Troma Now, which is an online streaming service for Troma film.
Yeah.
We got to do it. And
of course.
I got my crew together, and I don't know what we're going to make. This guy, he has stilts, and he's Satan. Here's a bunch of burlesque dancers, and
right.
and bailed on me like the night before because they thought, I was going to make a film in like I had like 3 hours, and they were only going to let me use a hallway with all these neons. And I was so pissed off about that. And I was able to score a rehearsal studio. When Catalina and I were in a band called Aristascat, we used to practice at this space called Pro Rehearsal, and only like metal bands play there, like Drowning Pool, plays there and stuff. And I went to high school with the guy who owns the place, and then some of the bands that went there, and they were all about it, like, yeah, let's do this. And I got a whole sound team from here in Arlington called the Common House Collective. That was like 10 guys on my sound. What the hell?
Nice.
I got a camera operator from Channel 8, or like a WF, he works for ABC, camera operator. And then we drew Zombie on our last film. Like the year before, we got Road Trip. The year before that, we got Grindhouse. And the year before that, we got horror, like just plain horror. Last year, we got Zombie. And by the time, and we knocked it out. I wrote it, shot it, edited it, and submitted it all in 48 hours. And it's a 7-minute film, and it's really dense, and it's really like the content matter is really depressing. But when you do something like that, you can't really sit down and think about, your dialogue or what you're going to make. You just write a general BS script of like the general direction we're going. This is a general idea of what they're saying, and these are the general shots that I want. So, and you have to, and like when you do that, you really just have to trust that your crew is working.
Right. And you guys started out making music videos mainly, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah. I hated the videos that the guys making for my band were coming out. I hated the way they were, so I started making my own music videos.
Yeah.
And then other people started paying me to make their music videos.
That's cool.
And I'm still making people's music videos. So.
I got your IMDb page open right here, and I want to ask you a few questions. Is it true that your nickname is Astro?
Oh, shit.
Is that something you haven't heard in a while?
Yeah, that was when I was in high school. In junior high, I was in a metal band called Primitive Return.
Okay.
We all had our own nicknames, like Korn. They had Monkey. Okay. No, I was Astro, and
it's on your IMDb page. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah. I really like that White Zombie album, Astro Creep 2000.
Oh yeah, one of the best ones. Yeah, really enjoy that one. That was my gateway into Rob Zombie. I guess it was that true for a lot of people. Oh, so hey, the torture. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely back this one up, and I can't wait to see what's gonna happen with this feature. And I'm gonna save the Nail Biters book for after this movie gets made, because I don't want to get spoiled.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna try our best to. I mean, we were talking to Matthew, the effects guy, and we want to shoot in September, and he's like, honestly, November works best. October is a nightmare. I don't know about the rest of America, but here in Dallas, October is a frickin' nightmare. My whole crew, my whole group of people that we work with, they're, that's when all the shows are happening. That's because we're all, I guess, freaks.
Hey, the best kind.
That's when we get to do all our projects like crazy. I mean, we're like this all year round,
right?
Doing horror and stuff. But October is when the normal people let us play with them, and but November, I think it sounds like we're pushing the shoot back to November, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
That it's going to be cooler a little bit down here, even though it's 100 degrees still, and even Christmas it's still hot.
Jeez.
And then, so yeah, I mean, we're just gonna, we'll try to edit it. We wanted to have it ready for next Frightmare, but to be completely honest, editing it, nitpicking it, doing the audio, doing maybe touch up on color grading.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the score, which won't even really be music. It's going to be like, just a lot of audio work,
ambience,
lots of audio work, and then on top of that, it sounds like we're going to have a pretty heavy duty digital effect inside the short film, which is cool. I have a phone call soon with a artist from Real Effects, so I'm gonna talk to him, see what he can do, see how that works out, see how my budget works out, see how much we can raise, and keep going from there. We just keep on trucking.
Awesome. Is Catalina going to edit it?
Yeah.
Awesome.
We both are. She's going to do the primary editing.
Okay.
I'm going to nitpick, and then, we'll duke it out. And
all right. It's going to be brutal. That's all I've taken out of this is it's going to be brutal, and it's going to have Paul T. Taylor. And, hey, October or November, it's just going to add to the discomfort of Paul T. Taylor's character, I guess.
And Paul is great. He's primarily a theater actor.
Uh-huh.
He does a lot of stage plays. He's always acting. And I'm not saying he just takes whatever gets thrown at him. He does a lot of stage plays.
He was in Sin City. He was in Super, and he was, of course, in Hellraiser Judgment. And there's another movie coming out where he plays a creepy uncle. So there's all sorts of work that he's done.
Sick for Toys.
Yeah.
That's what that one's called. The guy that directed that film was also in another James Gunn movie, The Belko Experiment.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a really cool film. Yeah.
Yeah, he was in The Belko Experiment. He was a real flamboyant cubicle guy worker. He looked Latin. but that actor directed Sick for Toys. And then I think, Paul did a Christmas play. He did 2 Christmas plays. Like, he was going back and forth all last December, and I think he's got another one coming up. I don't remember. I feel bad for not remembering. I want to go see the plays.
That's okay. It's late there. It's kind of late over there. But it seems like, Joe, you got quality and talent all over the board for this project. So I can't wait to see how this Indiegogo does. When is it? How long is it going to go for?
2 months. That's
2 months.
I think that's the maximum that Indiegogo allows. So I feel bad. Like, the last time I did a campaign was when I was releasing our album for our band Aristascat. It's called Musico Pandemonium.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we got 6 music videos. It's on YouTube. Aristascat, if you want to watch that nonsense.
Okay.
I'll look it up.
Yeah.
But man, there's fireworks going on out here.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow, there's a lot.
A little early.
Oh, dude, there's fireworks going on all the time over here. But anyway, what was I saying, Paul?
We're talking about Pandemonium, your band, and it was on YouTube.
That was the last time I ran a campaign, and I made it by the skin of my teeth, and it was small, but at the same time, I didn't know what went into it, and we've donated to a lot of campaigns within the past couple of years to a band, some bands, some other filmmakers, Gore Noir. We donated to them. They were, they do the horror magazines.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully, good karma comes back. But man, I remember getting spammed like crazy. It's just like, man, this is what goes into doing a campaign is, putting yourself out there.
Yeah, you got to go find the subreddits, and you got to find the communities out there. You got to post your link around those places, and try to get as many eyes on it as possible. We're going to do our part to share all the links. So yeah,
get the Hellraiser Judgment Promotions people involved, because they
they already are. They're on the case.
Okay.
Yeah, they're on the case.
Yeah,
just like the Barkercast is on the case. So
right.
Hey, Joe, thanks so much for talking to us tonight.
Yeah.
And we love you and love your work. So it's going to be brutal. We're going to see. Let's share this. Let's look forward to seeing the torture maybe in 2019. So let's. All the best, man. All the best.
Oh, dude.
All right.
We're not going to stop till it's 100% perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're looking forward to it.
All right. Cool.
Okay.
Thanks, Joe.
Later, guys.
Bye. Cool. All right. Well, that was awesome. So thanks to Joe Manco, and we're looking forward to that. It's really cool to see a project with all of our friends, all of these friends of the podcast coming together to make this.
Yeah, and definitely Paul Kane. I mean, I've had a chance to look at the script, and I can tell you guys it's going to be a heck of a trip, and it's an awesome story, and I'm gonna definitely support this movie in any way I can. So go check out their Indiegogo crowdfunding site. It's the Torture Movie.
Yay! So coming soon on CliveBarkerCast.com, we've been kind of mulling over a little bit of a format change, and it wouldn't take away anything that we're already doing, but we were thinking of adding something. We've been thinking of doing this what do you call that? So like our news blog posts, right? We're primarily a podcast, and the news blog is kind of second. So, and Ed Martinez had suggested this to us, and we put some thought into it. And what I would like to do, what I think would be cool, is if the authors or myself, if they're busy, will read the news blogs into little short mini episodes, that get posted into the feed along the week. So anybody listening to this now, you would also get other little mini episodes, and they might be like 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes. And hopefully easy to post so that they're not taking up a huge amount of my time. But yeah, I think that, for people that don't visit the blog or can't visit the blog, I think that'll be helpful. And then the other one was Barkercast Presents. And this, I think, is all. Not only is it features, reading our feature reviews and stuff like that, but also I'd like to reserve that title, Barkercast Presents, for anything that we want to put on the website that may not even be related to Clive Barker stuff, so that we have a little bit of freedom to do whatever kind of blog posts and audio features and video stuff that we want to do, that maybe is just stuff that we're really interested in or passionate about.
Yeah, that would really expand the range of stuff from the blog, because sometimes we like Clive Barker stuff a lot, but there may be other stuff that seems to be appealing to everybody who likes Clive Barker, like what's going on with how horror movies or something, like what's going on with Halloween, or hey, there's a new book by Ramsey Campbell or something like that, or Peter Atkins, and we may be able to do something a little feature that would direct people to that, and we could talk about that and say what we think about it and do a review of it, maybe. So that would kind of expand our scope a little bit, and just be something that'd be more relevant to people who like Clive Barker. They would probably like other similar things.
And as you're listening to this, we've probably already posted one. I mean, we haven't quite done it yet as we're recording, but the first one will be Jose, your reading of your From the Vaults #2 Cenobium Hellraiser magazine.
Yeah, that was cool. And there's also an accessibility component to these things, because sometimes what if someone can't read the blog? What if someone is visually impaired, or what if someone can't listen to our podcast? Well, I guess they can always read the blog posts. But if you can't read, then your only choice is to listen to our rendition of the articles, like you were saying. So, for example, in the case of Ed Martinez, he was an effects artist. He was a big Hellraiser fan. And it turns out he had some health issues, and now he can't see. So he can't really read our blog post. He has to have someone read it to him. And for people like him, this would be a tremendous help. If you like Clive Barker, you want to get in touch with what's going on, I guess we could read some of our biggest features, or make a small episode where we read like 3-4 articles if they're small together. And it could be like From the Reef news, right?
Yeah, From the Reef. Yeah, or each as they come out. It depends, if we get more than one in a day, then maybe they'd go together. But yeah, those will be short little things, and I think it's helpful. And from the other way around, if someone is hearing impaired, I think that may be covered already on YouTube, right? I mean, isn't that? Yeah, because YouTube, you can turn on
That's right. Yeah. Good point. Now YouTube offers English subtitles, self-generated English subtitles. So for a lot of our episodes, you can probably turn those on and you can read what we're saying. It's kind of like an experimental thing for YouTube. So sometimes it doesn't really work that well, especially if we have someone who is on like a landline with us on the episode. Oh, yeah. And then we kind of talk over each other a little bit. And sometimes, the algorithm won't be able to properly translate things. And if you've turned those on for certain videos, sometimes you know how funny they can be when it's like a different language or something, and then all of a sudden you see this gibberish in English show up on the video captions. But I think for the most part those work really well, and we're kind of using those now as a help in typing down our interviews for our book, which is still coming, guys, we promise.
So that's something else that we need to get to work on. And then we've got coming soon, we will be also doing the Hellraiser Part 6, which covers books 17 through 19. So that Hellraiser series is starting to come to a close. I think one more episode after that one, and we'll have covered them all. And then in the near future, we want to talk about the book Galilee. And all that. Plus, we'll keep on doing the news. And so I think we would still have some news discussion episodes, because discussion is different from reading the news stories into the podcast feed.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
that'll be one person. It'll either be the author of the story, or if they're too busy, then it'll probably be me.
Mm-hmm.
First preference is the author. Because the author is going to be better at reading their story than I am. But we'll see. People are busy, so we'll see. We'll make it work however we can make it work.
Right, because for example, I'm starting a new job, and I know Rob started a new job, and so our free time is going to get a little shorter. You also are running kind of a job and a half, so
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I'm property managing for my dad and for myself, and I'm selling all of our rental properties right now, and we're going to downsize our house and move to a smaller house if we can convince the tenants to leave.
So big life changes happening to most of the Clive Barker podcast team right now, but we promise we're still doing this because we love doing it, and we do this because we love doing it for you.
Yes, yeah. So, in this podcast having no beginning will have no end. Find the show notes for this episode and join the discussion over at www.clivebarkercast.com. where we have news and links to all the ways you can connect with us. You can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and every other place you can find podcasts. The Clive Barker Podcast is an independent editorial podcast and news blog that is not affiliated with or under contract by Seraphim Inc. This is a labor of love by the fans for the fans.
Thanks for listening.